I'm not 40, but I'm in a long-term relationship. I have a baby. I'm not married. It's a conscious decision I've made evaluating what is marriage in 2023. Is that the sort of contract I'm interested in? Do I need that to mediate my relationship with my girlfriend?
It's funny you should say this. I went to a wedding last Sunday night, and my wife just spoke to the woman who got married. They had lived together for about 4 years. She said, everything feels different. You use the word girlfriend. You'll just have to take my word for it.
But why do you think then that this marriage thing was the sort of more prevalent status for such a tiny blip in human history,
Well,
and now it's already diminishing?
In this video, David Pakman humiliates Dennis Prager's marriage delusions. Dennis Prager just argues that marriage is some kind of moral necessity, acting like people can't have a stable, committed relationship without a government contract. David Pakman, though, on the other hand, breaks down why marriage rates are declining and how people structure relationships based on personal values, not outdated conservative dogma. But Prager just won't stop there. He even rants about trans people, pushing the usual fear-mongering about gender in sports while ignoring actual data. David Pakman just completely shuts down his arguments, exposing how conservatives like Dennis Prager just rely on misinformation instead of actual facts. So make sure to watch till the end to see how David Pakman completely humiliates Dennis Prager's marriage delusions.
Well, I mean, the Bible was written 3,000 years ago and everybody got married. I don't know why you call it a blip in history. It's universal. People got married in virtually every civilization.
Well, so if we consider modern humanity 250,000 years, for most of time, humans were not getting married.
All right. Look, if I can't talk about, pre-Stone Age or pre-Bronze Age man.
Okay, fair.
Okay, since the Bronze Age, people have gotten married, and you know what? We've done better by every metric. Marriage makes a better person and a better world.
Yeah, what I see is commitment between two parents and probably a fair amount of economic stability are really the ideal circumstances. But I think I don't want to get away from your broader point, Dennis, which I think is you're recognizing the reality of the situation.
And I'm fighting it.
And you're fighting it.
And I'm fighting it because I believe that graduating high school, getting a job, and getting married, and getting married before you have a baby, that is almost the perfect recipe for a better life.
But going more broad on the other culture war issues I mentioned, you're 75, you've been at this for a while. Don't you think that maybe it's simply being lost? Or let me ask it in a different way. What catalyst do you think might happen that might turn this thing around so that the so-called kind of anti-woke side wins or resurges?
So Dennis Prager claims that marriage has always been the norm, but Pakman just pushes that back, pointing out that for most of human history, it wasn't even a thing. Dennis Prager just brushes that off, acting like history before the Bronze Age doesn't count. Then comes the weird take that since the Bronze Age, people have gotten better. Better at what? He never elaborates on that further. It's just the usual conservative nostalgia, pretending the past proves his point somehow. And David Pakman just keeps it real. Commitment and stability matter more than a marriage certificate. But Prager just ignores that, insisting on his outdated life formula. Graduate, get a job, get married, and have kids, like that's even realistic today. David Pakman just barely has anything to argue since Prager's take just completely collapses on its own.
Well, it's a great question, and I don't have a perfect answer. I do think that the chaos of the trans movement, that people support the removal of girls' breasts when they're 18 or even sometimes younger, or boys getting castrated because they say they're girls. This has alarmed a fair number of people, even on your side of the spectrum. They realize this is madness. We have gone out of our minds. And I know why we've gone out of our minds. I don't think you would agree with my analysis, but it is I could put it to you in one sentence. It is a quote attributed to G.K. Chesterton, but we can't verify he said it. I'm only saying that because I didn't come up with this.
Okay.
When people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything. And this trans movement is the proof. I said on Bill Maher's show 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right before you saw that, it's gone viral.
I saw it.
he said, oh, Trump lies. I said, it doesn't compare to the lies of the left. America is systemically racist and men menstruate. And he cracked up. The whole audience cracked up and the whole panel cracked up. They were all laughing at me. And Bill Maher said, this is why it's gone viral. There are like 10 million views of this particular scene, where he says, Dennis, where'd you come up with that one? And that was 2019, the fall of 2019. And people go, what are you, nuts? Who says men menstruate? Within 2 years, if you denied men menstruate, you were considered transphobic.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm glad to have, I'm going to be honest. I don't know that this is the most interesting thing for us to talk about. But that being said, I have said very clearly, there are some areas, if we just say the world of trans issues, there are some areas where I feel quite confident. Like, for example, when it comes to bathrooms, I was just in Spain. Beautiful country, terrific seafood. I recommend it to you, Dennis. The bathrooms are just gender neutral. There's a sink there and a bunch of stalls, and people cross in the sink to wash their hands, and you use the stall you want. Everything's fine. The bathroom issue, I genuinely do not care about, even when they are organized the way they are in the United States. Another example that really just does not seem like an issue to me. People want to be addressed by a different pronoun. I'm going to guess based on what I see. And if I get it wrong, I'm not insulting anyone. If someone tells me otherwise, I'll kind of just do my best. We can kind of negotiate these things. On some of this stuff, like a talking point I'm hearing a lot is so many trans people who go through gender affirming care regret it. And that's a sign that something is very wrong. When I research it, it seems it's under 1% that express regret. And for some of that 1%, it's temporary. So I'm ambiguous about what is the right thing to do in some of these areas. I'm open to hearing from you to the extent that I judge you to be a good faith participant in the conversation. I don't know the answer. With some sports, it seems pretty clear that there is an advantage to being biologically male at birth. It seems unfair in those cases to arrange it in a certain way. In others, it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. So I think that I am very open-minded on this,
And now Prager just goes full fear-mongering, throwing out extreme claims about trans people and making gender-affirming care. He pushes the usual bad faith framing, exaggerating rare cases to paint a false picture. David Pakman just doesn't take the bait though. Instead of engaging in the hysteria, he just keeps it real. Gender-neutral bathrooms work just fine in other countries, and less than 3% of total trans people regret transitioning. And Prager just keeps spiraling, throwing out every anti-trans talking point he can think of, hoping something just sticks.
It's curious. It's not even a challenge.
Yeah.
Name me a sport where there is women sports where it doesn't make a difference.
Chess?
Well, apparently it does, interestingly. I was just reading that the International Chess Federation, whatever the name of the group is, noted that men did play chess better, generally speaking. By the way, if you're right, and I have no agenda here, then there should not be women's chess.
Right. So this chess is an interesting one because
it exists suggests that there is an advantage to separating the sexes.
My understanding is, and again, I think we're both trying to learn here. My understanding is the reason that the women's chess division was originally created was not enough young girls were participating.
Okay, fair enough, but it's not a physical sport anyway, so it's not a sport.
No, I mean, listen, I don't know.
So that you, all right, no, but you said where it doesn't matter, but if it doesn't matter, there would be no reason for women's whatever it is, track, field, weightlifting, tennis, but apparently there is a difference. A male who said he's a female won in Canada 2 weeks ago, and he not only set records in the women's division, and I am saying he because I think he's a fraud, and a narcissist for hurting women like this. He lifted 250 pounds more than the first place woman. Right. I know you don't think that's fair, but on your side, the entire LGBTQ movement is unanimous in saying you're transphobic if you think that is wrong.
So, I mean, listen, a couple of examples. equestrian, right? I mean, it's physical. You're riding a horse. A lot of it has to do with the horse. If biological men who tend to be heavier want to compete against women, it doesn't seem like a major problem. Sailing is physical. You have to dominate the sail as you are being pushed around by wind. Bowling, I believe, is gender segregated. I don't know that it needs to be. I mean, darts is another example. I mean, these are just some examples.
Right. So wherever it made a difference, you'd be opposed to it. So you are transphobic according to your side.
And wrapping this up, Prager's arguments just doesn't hold up. He pushes outdated views on marriage and fear-mongers about trans issues. But Pakman just keeps shutting him down with facts and logic. Instead of addressing reality, Prager just keeps clinging to nostalgia and dodges tough questions. And at the end of the day, he's not making real arguments. He's just repeating the same tired narratives. Pakman, on the other hand, keeps things grounded and exposes just how weak these talking points really are. Anyways, if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below.